Okay, we can get started. Hey guys, it has been a while since I did a Q&A. My last Q&A was on Coding with Chandler, and I was talking about more coding relating topics. I feel like it's been a minute since I've actually made a video that involved me connecting with my subscribers, so really excited. Come on. My cat wants to be in the Q&A too. Today's Q&A, I'm answering lots of questions. I told people to ask me anything, whether it's related to coding, personal, so we're gonna be answering some questions today. But before I get started, if you want to be included in a future Q&A video, make sure you follow me on my Instagram because I'm always posting opportunities for you to ask me questions, or even opportunities for me to get your guys' feedback. So follow me on my Instagram. My Instagram is chandler.keith. Super excited! I'm going to try to find those questions for you. So my first question is from Melaninated by Force. I'm loving your username. And they said, skills to succeed in programming. So some skills that are necessary to succeed in programming, I would say are 1, determination. I think determination is super important because it's really easy to get discouraged. Whenever you run into a bug or a problem, there are times where you'll be spending several hours on a problem and trying to solve something. And it really just takes someone who has patience and determination to get through that and solve that problem. Because coding is literally nothing but problem solving, you gotta have good problem solving skills. So I gave 3 words: determination, patience, and problem solving. I think those are very, very important skills to have if coding is something that you're interested in, because you're gonna be doing a lot of that while you're coding. She also asks, are you into anime? My answer to that is hell yes. I love anime. My top anime is probably High School of the Dead. I always recommend it to people. It's about like these high schoolers who are in a zombie apocalypse and involves a bunch of huge boobies. So if you're into that, like, I recommend checking it out because it's really, really good. Lately, I've been watching this anime on Netflix on repeat because I can't find anything better right now. It's called Maid-sama. If you're into more of like the romantic type anime, then it's probably going to be perfect for you. I mainly like romance. High School of the Dead isn't really romantic, but I made an exception for that one. But yeah, I love anime. So if you have any cool recommendations, please let me know. How old are you? I am 21 years old. And I was born May 19th, so I'm a Taurus, in case anybody was wondering. I'm not really a horoscope person, I just felt like I should say that for the people who actually care. Milo asks, what coding language do you use every day? So on a day-to-day basis, I'm always using TypeScript. A lot of the projects that I work on are built off of TypeScript. I use a lot of JavaScript frameworks, Node.js on the back end, and I use React.js on the front end, all using TypeScript. Which is your favorite programming language? As of now, I would say my favorite programming language is probably Java, only because that's like a big strength of mine. I started off my programming career learning Java, and it's something that I can easily, there's some floating shit. It's something that I can easily understand. I also like how the language is more strict. It's used everywhere. Java virtual machines are literally used everywhere and they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So I like Java, but I work with JavaScript and TypeScript on a day-to-day basis, so I would say that's probably my biggest strength. At what point did you realize religion wasn't worth it? That is a very good question. I would say I started to realize religion isn't really worth my time probably 9th grade of high school. I would say it's between like late middle school and right at the beginning of high school is when I realized that religion isn't really worth it. And the reason why is there were a lot of aspects of religion that just weren't really making sense to me. There's way too many unanswered questions and too much faith over facts that are involved when it comes to religion. Because you can keep asking a religious person questions and keep questioning to the point where it's like, okay, I believe this because I have faith in it, not because it's there. And that's where I kind of opt out. I feel like if there isn't set in stone, hard soil evidence, I'm not going to devote my life to that thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm a very fact-based type of person, and I feel like with religion, there are many things, there are things that are factual and there are things that aren't, and are more so just someone's opinion. So I let go of religion probably, 9th grade for sure. If you consider something immoral, does it follow that you should support it being illegal? That is probably like one of the most interesting questions I've ever received because it's very thought-provoking, and now I'm going to sit here and think about that. I don't believe that if someone does something considered to be immoral, that somebody should go to jail for it. It depends on what you're talking about. If we're talking about killing, or if you're just like killing somebody, or if you're talking about literally creating like negative impact on someone's life, then yes, I agree they should probably go to jail. But I mean, it depends on how you define immoral. I feel like, you know, things like lying, little things that are human nature to do, even though they aren't great, it's all things like that are considered human nature, and I wouldn't claim that someone should go to jail for doing something that is human nature. So it really depends on how you define immoral. But if you're referring to things like murdering, then yeah. Have you ever thought about being on a podcast? So my answer is yes. I've been on 2 podcasts in the past, and I honestly could not tell you what either of them were called. I'm that terrible. I've collaborated with so many people and done so many things that I honestly easily forget things that I do now. But yes, I would love to be on a podcast. It's a lot of fun. I love sharing my thoughts on things. So hell yeah. Best laptops for programming. See, I get this question a lot, and the people who ask me this assume that I just know a lot about computers, like computer hardware specifically. I'm a coder. I only know how to write code, but I couldn't tell you what laptop is best for coding. Personally, I can tell you my personal belief on that, just based on my personal experience. I grew up using Windows computers, and then I recently started using Mac for my full-time job. It requires MacBook, and that's what made me switch over to Mac and made me realize that Mac is so much better. I use a MacBook Pro. I'll put like the link to the description below of like the actual type of computer I'm using right now. And performance wise, it's really good. So when I recommend a laptop to somebody, I always base it on like performance, and I've gotten the best performance from a Mac. Next question I have is from Don Cole. What is your major goal for 2020? Guys, I have way too many goals, it's not even funny. I couldn't even tell you what my goal for 2020 is, or 2021. One thing I want to touch on is the fact that I don't base my goals on what year it is. You know, it has nothing to do with the year, meaning like if it's New Year's and most people usually start thinking about new goals for the year, that's not me. My goals are so big that sometimes it takes more than a year to achieve them. So I can't really make yearly goals. But my goal, to answer your question, is to have a business. So hopefully by 2021, I have a business of my own. I'm gonna leave the idea to myself because bitches be stealing shit these days and copying motherfuckers. So I'm not even gonna fucking tell you guys what the business is because I'm afraid that the idea is just going to be taken. But the idea isn't anything new really, but I'm super excited to release it before the year ends, or by sometime in 2021. So to answer your question, my goal is to have a business. I don't expect it to be fully established. It's going to be a lot of trial and error, but it's coming soon, so stay tuned. Any experience working with game engines and gaming projects? No, not really. We have built one game at my current job, and I didn't build it. I did not contribute to that project. However, one time I did have to change the font size of the text that was in the game, and it's way different than CSS. It was pretty cool to see how it works. But no, I have no idea how to make games, so if that's something you want to know about, I'm not your go-to. Do you believe aliens built pyramids, or were Egyptians just naturally great with math? So here's my thoughts on the whole pyramid situation. I haven't done enough research on it, so don't quote me on this. But rumor has it, and I'll try to put some sources in the description below to at least justify what I'm saying. Rumor has it we can't replicate the pyramids that were in Egypt that were made. And that's ironic because I feel like technology is so advanced nowadays and we have the resources to actually make those things versus back then it was built from slave. Things are so advanced now you would think that you can make the same thing. Rumor has it you can't. Another thing is the fact that the pictures that are on the pyramids are of things that didn't even exist yet. You got planes and spaceships, things that look more advanced, pictures of advanced things that are on the pyramids. So I'm like, they're putting pictures of things that they didn't even have a concept of on the pyramid, unless those things already existed, or unless they weren't the ones who made it in the first place. So that's my thoughts on it. I'm interested in hearing yours. Cosmic Buddha asks, I heard coding pays well. True or hype? That shit is true as a motherfucker. There is no hype behind that at all. But it depends on like what position you have, how far you are in your career. Meaning if you're an intern, I would imagine your pay isn't as good as someone who's deep into the career. Someone who's a full-blown software engineer is probably making bank compared to an intern. So it just depends on where you are in your career. I don't know if this is a YouTube question, LOL, but do you believe that ghosts and demons and spirits exist? See, I love how you guys are asking me deeper questions instead of the basic what's your favorite color type shit, because fuck, I hate those. But I'm glad you're asking me this because I mentioned earlier that I'm not a religious person. Yet you're wondering if I believe that demons and ghosts exist. My answer to that is yes and no. And the reason why I say that is because I do believe that there is some sort of entity that we can't physically see that could be there, which we would define as a ghost, right? But as far as demons go, and the whole idea that there's like this entity that came from hell and is evil and is there to scare you and create all this negativity, but it's from hell, that I'm not going to claim to know about, simply because, yeah, like I've had like creepy ass experiences with things that I can't see. But how do we know it's a demon or it's something that derived from hell? It could be anything, like I said. I'm a very agnostic person, if you can't tell, meaning I'm the type of person not to claim to know something unless I actually saw it for myself. And with the whole idea of demons, we can't sit there and act like we know where they came from. We know that they're there based off of our experiences and hearing something or seeing something, but you don't know where they came from or why they're there. You know, it's just, there's so many things. Like we think that we know everything about what's there when we really don't. It's a very hard topic to explain. Basically what I'm saying is I believe that there's something there, but I don't know the characteristics of that being. I don't know where it came from. So I just like to leave it at that. I don't want to dig any deeper besides that point, because at that point that shit isn't my business. It really isn't. And the minute you try to make it your business is when you really start to experience some crazy stuff. So I like to stay out of it. What type of MMA classes do you take? Right now I take Muay Thai, so it's like a form of kickboxing. It's very similar, except there's little differences. But Muay Thai is something that I've been doing for the past couple of years. And I also dabbled with just plain boxing when I was at Grand Valley. I was in the boxing club. And then at the gym that I go to now, it's called Final Round. Whenever I go, I generally take their Muay Thai classes or I do cardio kickboxing. And I attempted to dabble with jiu-jitsu. I probably attended like 3 jiu-jitsu classes. But I haven't did enough jiu-jitsu to claim that that's something that I have a skill in. So I'm not even going to bother promoting myself as if I do that. Tor the Brand asks, do you build apps for people? I mean, technically I build web apps for people. I don't build mobile apps. I never really worked too much with iOS app development. I've dabbled with Android apps. And I've built like an Android calculator app one time, which was a lot of fun. So I've dabbled with it, but I haven't actually developed apps for people. But I'd like to someday. Hopefully I build my knowledge in that era of programming. I mostly focus on web development at the moment, but hopefully when I get time, I'll dabble with some mobile app development. Thoughts on parallel worlds? Do you feel there's other yous in other realms? Y'all are just asking me shit that would put me in a coma. The reason why I believe that is possible is because just simply thinking in the present moment, like there are so many different ways that the situation you are in right now could go. You could get up and leave. You could say no to a yes or no question. You could say yes to a yes or no question. There's just so many different directions that life can take you. And from your perception, it only goes down one. But how do we know that there isn't multiple universes where you actually go down those multiple paths? And those universes actually do exist, as if you fucking really did make all of those decisions. I don't know how to explain it in a way that isn't complex for you guys to understand. I think it exists only because of the fact that there's an infinite number of ways that things can go. And knowing that, who's to say that there isn't another universe where it actually went that other way instead of the way things are currently going for you now? There's no proof that isn't the case, and there's no proof that there is. So it's one of those things that I'm just very agnostic about, and unless somebody comes to me with evidence that that's the case, I'm just going to continue to be the confused motherfucker that I am. Is it what your channel can do for you, or what you can do for your channel? To answer your question there, it's not always about what can my channel do for me. I actually rarely think about that, and the reason why is because I simply love making videos. It's what I'm passionate about. For those of you who don't know, if I didn't go into the tech community and if I didn't become a coder, I would be somewhere in the film industry. I absolutely love making videos. I love editing. Editing is one of my passions. I actually wanted to get my major in film until I realized how competitive that field is. But yeah, For those of you who don't know, I actually enjoy doing what I'm doing. I love teaching. I love video making. I like editing. I like all the aspects of being a YouTuber. So therefore, I'm going to continue doing it. So to answer your question, because I love all aspects of being a YouTuber, I don't post because I could potentially get something out of it. I think, what can I do for others? What can I teach you guys? What's something new that I can give my subscribers? What time do you prefer to code? So I'm usually coding between 9 to 5, since coding is technically my full-time job. But if I'm working on any projects outside of my full-time job, I generally do that after 5. So it's around the afternoon, I would say, is my preferred time to code. How to get started with Kava, because it's driving me nuts. Any tips? I don't know Kava. I don't know what Kava is either. And if Kava is something, if obvious, please let me know. Someone comment in the comments what Kava is. If you weren't a software engineer, what would you be? That is a great question. If I weren't a software engineer, I would definitely be somewhere in the film industry, 100%. Like I mentioned before, it's a very competitive field, but getting my major in film was something I was really passionate about back then. I wanted to also learn a lot about CGI, computer-generated effects. So my career would probably fall down into something like that. I'd probably be more focused on YouTube. Maybe I'd be posting more YouTube videos. And because I'm a coder, I don't really have a lot of time to do some of the things that I really love doing, which one of them is making YouTube videos. So you'd probably see a lot more YouTube videos, and I would probably be in a completely different field, most likely film. And that's all, folks! Alright, that was my last question. Hopefully I didn't break my phone. Hopefully I answered all of your guys' questions. I'm sorry if you asked me a question and I didn't get to it. I screenshotted all the ones that I did get, and if I missed you, I'm sorry. But you also have a chance to make it to the next Q&A video. Just follow me on my Instagram. Wait for me to post a little post on my story that says Q&A, and then you can ask away. But thanks so much for your guys' questions. First of all, you guys asked a lot of really, really good questions. Usually when I do Q&As, I get a lot of generic questions that I'm used to answering, but I was getting a lot of thought-provoking questions in this one, so it was really cool. Some of you guys caught me off guard a little bit. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a very deep person. I love talking about religion. I love talking about aliens. I love talking about conspiracies in general, just because I have full capabilities to think outside of the box, versus for some people, it makes them uncomfortable. But for me, I literally live outside of the box. I love talking about that stuff. So keep throwing those questions at me, because it just makes my day. But that is all I have for today. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and turn on my notifications so that you can get notified whenever my next video is uploaded. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you guys some other time.